Monster Hunter Wilds is just around the corner. I have a few survival tips for new hunters. These have nothing to do with weapons or combos. You see, Monster Hunter is a game of systems. Systems within systems on top of systems. I'm sure the full release will attempt to tutorialize a lot of this, but honestly, it could be overwhelming to be bombarded with all that information. So I have some easy to follow advice that could help. Tip 1. Items in the radial menu. Monster Hunter does not have a dedicated healing button like other action games. You have to select a healing item in order to use it to recover HP. How you choose to get to that item can be the difference between life and death. What a lot of new hunters tend to do is use the item bar. The item bar appears at the bottom of your screen. This bar makes it so you can have an item ready and use it with the single press of a button. This is the quickest option if you have the item you want ready beforehand. However, it isn't the only way to heal. This is where the radial menu comes into play. You can have your potions, antidotes, and whatever else you want set up to be accessed very quickly at a glance instead of scrolling until you see what you need and have the chance to blow right past it if you are in a fight. This is very helpful, but it could be set up to go even further. Say you are in a hunt and you run out of potions. What do you do then? Disengage and go back to camp to restock? Sure, you could do that, but you are burning the most valuable resource of all, time. In a hunt, time is always a factor. You can run out of time and fail a quest. Or you can have crafting materials in your pouch to create new healing items and stay in the fight. For example, you can hold 10 potions maximum, but you can also carry 10 herbs, effectively doubling your healing items. And they can be crafted immediately through the radial menu. You can't craft through the item bar. Your radial menu can be tied to your item loadout as well. The loadout can be saved at your tent, and you can save your radial menu as well. This will be helpful later, but it's good to acclimate yourself with it now and start using loadouts. In the Wilds beta, we were given a preloaded radial menu and loadout. This was fine for general use, but it lacked all customization. See, not all hunts are the same. Some monsters can inflict different ailments or are in different environments that require different items to deal with those conditions. For example, if you are fighting a monster that does not inflict a poison status, but you have antidotes in your item pouch, you are potentially wasting some space. This is all dependent on the monster you are hunting and the area you are hunting, and will come with learning for yourself. But knowing that you can have whole loadouts for specific monster hunts is a great way to quickly set up your item pouch and jump into the hunt. 2. Crafting and resource gathering. Crafting and the radial menu kind of go hand in hand while in a hunt. In Wilds, we have an extremely detailed map that will show you all these items you can go gather, and you can filter them out so you can focus on what you need. Let's look at crafting max potions. So to craft a max potion, you need a catalyst and a mandragora. Well, first we need to craft a catalyst. We need bitter bug broth and honey. After you collect that, you can get your mandragora and make your max potion. But you can also use honey to make mega potions out of potions. So it's good to stock up on all these materials so you can make more powerful healing items. Like, you can carry 2 max potions, but it's probably a good idea to carry 5 catalysts and as many mandragora as you can so that you can make more max potions if you run out. But outside of healing items, you can craft flash pods, traps, bombs, the list goes on. I don't want to bog you down with crafting in detail, but it's good to familiarize yourself with some of the basic crafting. Resource gathering is one of those activities that you could do solely or do as you go. Say your target is near some honey, you can grab the honey and then start the hunt. But in Wilds, they make it very easy to just hop on your sacred, select where to go, and you can kind of AFK while you do this. Also, let's talk about fishing quickly. Now, in the beta, we only had access to a few fishing spots, but I noticed you can gather a few different types of scales from the fish. one of which can stop bleeding when consumed, which can be so helpful, but in the beta, none of the monsters would inflict bleed, so we didn't really get a chance to use it, and the other would drop whetstone scales, which can decrease the time to sharpen your weapon. I know if you're using weapons like dual blades or longsword, you're going to be sharpening more often than the other weapons, so taking some time to gather some scales could be helpful. Also, I'm not sure in the full game what will be better, using your fishing rod or capture net. I used the capture net and got quite a bit of materials for the fish, and it was pretty easy to catch them. Now in past games like World, we could cultivate certain materials and harvest them after a certain amount of quests, and I'm sure something like this may be in Wilds, but it might not. Number 3, learning how to learn the monster fights. I noticed something in the open beta. I tried to join SOS parties for Arkveld. I went about 20 or so times and only managed to get 2 wins, mostly because we would run out of carts. It was like a lot of these players were seeing some of these attacks for the first time, and that's all well and good, but if you can't stay alive for a hunt, then it will be really hard to get a carry, especially from randoms. So regardless of what weapon you use, the monsters will have the same attack and moveset. Now, depending on the difficulty of the monster, what I'm about to say is going to be more or less valuable. But let's take it to the utmost basic. Before you jump in and start hacking away at the monster, have your weapon sheathed and just observe the monster. Engage it and watch what it's doing, how long the recovery is on its attacks. Are there any sound cues? What are the tells of the attacks? Also, dismissing your palico is a good idea here so that the monster is 100% focused on you. This way you can really take in to see what the monster's moveset is. Next, let's talk about the slinger. The slinger is something that every hunter should utilize, and you do this through having different ammo to put in your slinger. Some of these can be stones or torch pods that you can pick up on the ground. Ones that I like to keep on me are flash pods to stop a monster from running or flying, dung pods to get rid of unwanted monsters that might start a turf war, and luring pods if I have a trap set up and want to lure a monster into it. The game also has these throwing knives which you can equip and shoot infinitely. So if you're trying to get a monster's attention or set it up for something else, these could be useful. You can also just shoot your slinger at a monster and still hit it, but I have not really found a good use case for this. Also with the slinger, we have a lot of environmental interactions we can have with it, like dropping vine traps and rocks that can do a lot of damage. So pay attention to your surroundings and know that this is an option regardless of what weapon you have. Now, before you jump into any hunt, what you should do is always eat a meal. The food Monster Hunter will grant you a HP and stamina buff, but really look at what the ingredients are doing for you. Some can increase your attack power, your healing speed, but look at the description of each ingredient and see what they do. Because when the game full releases, I'm sure that we'll have way more ingredients that give different buffs. Speaking of buffs, this is going to lead me to our last topic, which is armor and weapon skills. These are skills that are attached to sets of armor that will give gradual bonuses depending on how many pieces of that armor you are wearing that give the same skill. So let's look at the Hope set. With the entire Hope set equipped, we have Divine Blessing level 3. There are other skills attached to the armor set that you can pay attention to, but I really want to bring our focus on Divine Blessing. It's important to look at the level breakdown, the skill level, and the description of the skill. On Divine Blessing, it says, has a predetermined chance of reducing the damage you take. And you could see the varying levels of efficacy with the skill level from 15, 30 to a 50% damage reduction while the skill is active. Being able to navigate and understand these skills is going to be important when you unlock armor and weapon crafting. It's not like every new set of armor is just inherently better in every case. You need to see what skills the armor or mix of armor you can get to maximize what you want out of your weapons. Really, just make sure you're paying attention to the skills and what they are doing. As a new player, you're going to be asked to learn a lot. These are just very surface level basics. I left out a lot that will probably make it into another video if people are interested. Monster Hunter is not a mad dash, more like a marathon. You have to pace yourself and give yourself a lot of leeway. Wilds is built on 20 years of existing mechanics and new ones introduced in this title. So as a new player, you have a huge learning curve in front of you, but be patient. If you are having fun, then that's the most important thing in my opinion, but your fun can be elevated by reducing a lot of the frustration that comes from not understanding. If you have any specific questions, be sure to post them down in the comments of this video, and I'll see you in Wilds. Until next time.